Previously, I made a video all about the Whomp's Fortress Tower in the context of the A button challenge. In case you don't know, the A button challenge is a challenge where you try to collect stars without pressing the A button to jump. So that means we usually have to get pretty creative to find ways around having to press A. Now for the Whomp's Fortress Tower star, the only tricky part in this whole level is finding a way to get onto the tower. You see, the tower's first platform is too high to get onto using a rollout, which is why you're supposed to press A to jump onto it. But in my video, I explained that over the years, we've used 3 different methods to get onto the tower without pressing A. For the first strat, we used a cork box to push us from the elevator onto the tower. Specifically, we used the hat in hand glitch to throw the cork box remotely so that we could have it push us after we store vertical speed. And we also collect 100 coin star because collecting the star puts Mario into a state where he's able to ledge grab. We call that type of ledge grab a star dance clip. For the second strat, we used 100 coin star to do a star dance clip onto the bullet bill block, and then we did a very precise rollout from the bullet bill block into a misalignment on the tower. A misalignment is a 1 unit wide square of floor on the corner of the platform, and it lets you snap onto the floor without getting pushed away by the walls. And for the third strat, we made use of a trick called platform release displacement. That's where you stand on a falling block and use the hat in hand glitch to throw the falling block far away. Ultimately, this causes the block to rotate Mario a huge amount and gives him enough displacement to get onto the tower. So yeah, those were the 3 strats that we've used over the years to get onto the tower without pressing A. But also in my video, I alluded to a secret 4th strat that was theorized many years ago but never actually executed. Specifically, the strat is to spawn 2 different 100 coin stars, using one to get onto the bullet bill block and using the other to get onto the tower platform. Now the reason no one ever did this strat is because spawning 200 coin stars is no easy feat. To do it, you have to collect 65,000 coins using an infinite coin glitch, which would take over 10 days. So in my previous video, I just left that strat as a footnote, the theoretical 10-day strat that was never pulled off. But in the comment section, some of you guys weren't satisfied with that. You heard me talk about the 10-day strat and you actually wanted me to do it. So after reading all those comments, I figured, you know what? You guys are right. Why don't I pull off this strat? I mean, back in the day, 10 years ago, it would have been an impossible feat. But these days, with all the modern tools and knowledge we have, it should be doable. So with all that said, let me show you what I did. First, we enter Whomp's Fortress. Then we collect 99 coins from all around the level. Now for this part, I just reused the same inputs from a previous task done by Fifth Strat, because why redo getting all the coins if we already have inputs that do it very well? Then once we reach 99 coins, we grab this cork box and carry it all the way up the course. Now in the past, bringing a cork box past this slope was very tricky, but these days we know that we can just grind on the edge to carry it all the way up. Then once we're at the top, we can throw the cork box to break it and then collect the coins to spawn the 100 coin star. Or should I say, the first 100 coin star, because 10 days from now, we'll be able to make a second one. Specifically, our next mission is to collect 65,000 coins to overflow the coin counter, have it wrap all the way back around, and spawn a second 100 coin star when our coin count reaches 100 again. But you may be asking, how do we collect 65,000 coins? Doesn't the level only have a finite number of coins? Well, that's where the infinite coin glitch comes into play, so let me explain. So, if you grab a cork box, put it down, and then wait for 30 seconds, the box will flicker and then disappear from inactivity. And then if you go far away enough from its original location, it'll respawn in that spot. Now we can also put the cork box onto another object, like the blue coin block, and it'll stay there. But then if we move away, the cork box will fall down because the blue coin block is only tangible when Mario's near it. Then if we go close, the blue coin block becomes tangible again, but this time with the cork box inside of it, so the box ends up breaking. That means we can break the cork box on command. So instead of breaking it right away, if we wait for 30 seconds, the box starts to disappear. And then if we trigger it to break on the exact frame when it disappears, then it both explodes with coins that we can collect, but it also respawns back in its original location. So we got coins out of it, but the box is still there. That lets us repeat the process and ultimately collect infinite coins. Now remember, our goal is to collect 65,000 coins. And since each iteration gives us 3 coins, that means we'd have to repeat this process process about 20,000 times. That'd be a lot of work to do manually, and is the reason I never tasked this strat years ago. But these days we have better tools, so I can use code to automate it. In fact, here you can see the exact code I wrote to do it. Just 400 lines and it got the job done. But you guys don't want to see code, you want to see how the code actually works. So let me show you. But before I handed control over to the automation tool, I first had to manually set up the first iteration. So this is how every iteration starts, with Mario on the left and the cork box on the right inside of the sign. Now note that in earlier versions of the plan, I had used the blue coin block to break the cork box. But earlier in this task, we broke the blue coin block to get the blue coins. So by the time we start the iterations, the blue coin block isn't there anymore, and so I used the sign instead. But it still works the same way. We put the box onto the sign, move away to make the sign become intangible so that the cork box falls inside of it, wait 30 seconds for the box to start flickering, move closer to make the sign become tangible to break the cork box right on the frame when it disappears, collect all 3 of the coins, then move away to make the box respawn, and finally grab the new box and put it onto the sign. So that's one complete iteration all done by my automated coding tool. But now let's get into the finer details of how this automation works. So when Mario puts the box down, the box starts a timer for how long it's been inactive for. And it'll disappear after 30 seconds, which is 900 frames. That's when we want to break it, so here's how my code handles that. First, once the box's timer reaches 700, I have Mario walk to the right to break the box. Not by just holding the control stick to the right, but by randomly alternating between holding neutral and holding to the right. That causes Mario to make dust on random frames, which affects RNG and ultimately causes the coins to go in a random direction. But those aren't the final inputs. That's more so just a test to see how many frames it takes to break the box with those specific inputs. Because you see, the box broke too early from that before it disappeared. It disappears when its timer reaches 901, which is the frame we want to break it on. So we can take the difference between the box's actual final timer, 723, and the goal final timer, 901, and that difference is 178. In other words, we were 178 frames too early. So to fix this, we revert to before the box broke, wait until the timer is 700 again, delay Mario for the correct amount of time, 178 frames, and then do the exact same inputs as before. Now the box breaks on the exact right frame at timer 901. Next, I have Mario collect the coins. To do that, I simply have Mario walk towards each coin until it's collected. And more specifically, I have Mario go for the 3 coins in the order that they are in memory. Now, I could have instead had Mario go for the coins in the order of how close they are to him, like first doing the closest one and then doing the next closest one and so on. But I didn't like the idea of Mario potentially switching between coins mid-attempt based on which one is closest, because maybe that would take longer. Like here, for example, Mario switches between the coins as he's going for them. So to keep things simple, I just said collect the 3 coins in the order of their place in memory, and then the order doesn't change. I mean, it probably wouldn't have really mattered in the greater scheme of things, but when you're programming functionality like this, every little choice needs a decision. Anyway, once the 3 coins are collected, I have Mario navigate over to this spot on the ground right before the ramp, then to this spot higher on the ramp to make the cork box respawn, then back to the spot before the ramp, and then over to the box where I press B to have Mario grab it. From there, I have Mario walk towards this point to get a better angle, then the sign, then stop walking, put the box down, walk to the left and then a little to the right. And now we're in the exact same situation that we started in, so we can wait 30 more seconds and then do it all again. Break the box, get the coins, you know the drill. I mean, it's not the most efficient movement because Mario's just running from point to point and not doing dives or rollouts, but you know, it's simple and gets the job done. And so now we just repeat that procedure 20,000 times. Here you can even see the code running in real time. Each iteration only took a fraction of a second, so the code was actually able to finish in 1 day. Now the code wasn't perfect because about 10% of the time the iteration would fail. For example, often a coin would go over the edge and then Mario wouldn't be able to get it. See, the coin goes over the fence and then disappears once it lands on the death barrier. Also, sometimes a coin would go up the ramp and evade Mario until it disappeared because Mario gets stuck on the fence, and sometimes Mario would get stuck on the sign itself with the coin on the other side of it. And since Mario's just programmed to walk in a straight line towards the coin, he can't get to it in time, and so after a little bit, the coin just disappears. But the cool thing is that these failures don't really matter. You see, if my code detects anything going wrong, it just reverts to the beginning of the iteration and tries again. And every try will be different because the start of each iteration is randomized. Because remember, we manipulate RNG differently each time, which causes the coins to go in different directions, and so each try is its own independent attempt. And so, even if an iteration ends up failing, the code will just try again until it works and then keep going. And like I mentioned, the movement that the code does isn't too optimized. Sometimes Mario has to run all over for the coins, sometimes he'll get stuck behind the sign for a while, and if Mario travels up the ramp for the last coin, he ends up going back down the ramp before going onto it for real, because he's still programmed to go towards that spot that's right before the ramp. Yeah, oops, I didn't think about that scenario. So yeah, this task is not optimized by any means. The goal of this task is just to get the strat done at all, not optimize every little frame. Now interestingly, there are only 65,000 RNG values in the game, meaning that there are only 65,000 coin trajectory patterns we can get, and we do the iterations 20,000 times. That's so many that we actually end up getting the same coin RNG at multiple different points. For example, here all 6 of these iterations end up getting the exact same coin RNG. You can tell it's the same because that one coin distinctively goes way to the left. But Mario doesn't necessarily collect the coins in the same order because he collects them based on object memory order, not object processing order. Like when the coins load, they just load into whatever object slot happens to be next, which is effectively a random place in memory. Now I can also trace out Mario's pathing over time. It's pretty cool. It's like a heat map showing which spots he goes over the most. The pathing is pretty dark on the straight lines between the waypoints since Mario ends up walking on those paths a lot, but everywhere else it's lightly filled in a random way since Mario ends up going all around the area to get the coins that spread out. I also made a histogram showing how long the iterations take. So usually the iterations take a little over 40 seconds, but occasionally they'll take way longer, up to 70 seconds. And the average time is 43 seconds. Here you can see the shortest iteration coming in at 40 seconds. Mario basically just gets the coins instantly and while on his way to the next waypoint. And here you can see the longest iteration coming in at 71 seconds. Oh boy, let's find out why it took so long. The coin goes up the ramp and Mario gets stuck on the fence. Okay, now he's going up, but he ends up pushing against this wall too, but in the end he gets the coin just before it disappears. Now Mario has to go back to the waypoint just before the ramp, but there's this big slope in the way. And since Mario isn't programmed to go around corners, he just walks onto the slope over and over. Oh my god, it's so bad. Don't look, I can't believe this made it into the task. But eventually, Mario does make it to the waypoint and then goes onto the ramp for real, because of course that's how it works. So yeah, a big detour on that one, but in the end, Mario is able to get back and continue the iterations. Now I should mention, we also console verified the whole task on a real Nintendo 64 console, and it was streamed on Twitch so we can see people's live reactions to moments like this. So after that long iteration, people are saying, what just happened? What? Long. No idea, that was sus. Just scared we might have desynced, lol. Yeah, maybe it's best we don't think about that iteration ever again. Now I can actually overlay different iterations to play them at the same time. In fact, let's have a race. For the contenders, we have iterations 67, 69, 420, and 666. All the best numbers, and some others. Place your bets, who's gonna finish first? And there they go, the box broke, so now they all have to get their respective coins. And it looks like the order is clear. The winner is 67, followed by 666, 69, and then 420. So yup, that's the order. Do whatever you want with that information. Okay, now let's go back to the task and step through it to see the full process. Weird things are about to happen as we collect 65,000 coins, cause remember, none of this was intended to be done. So first we do iterations to go from 100 coins to 1,000 coins. And I should note, reaching 1,000 coins is actually only possible on the original Japanese version of the game, which is the version we're on. Because you see, on the US version of the game and later, the coin count is capped at 999, the way the developers always intended. But on the original Japanese version, there's a bug where the coin count can go beyond 999, which gives you negative 25 lives instead of capping the coin count. Let me explain why that happens. So here's the fixed code for the US version. It's pretty simple. It says if the number of lives is greater than 100, set the number of lives equal to 100, and if the number of coins is greater than 999, set the number of coins equal to 999. So it correctly caps both variables. But now let's look at the original Japanese version. This one says if the number of lives is greater than 100, set the number of lives equal to 100, same as before. But in the second part, if the number of coins is greater than 999, set the number of lives equal to 999. See, they used the wrong variable here. It has lives instead of coins. So basically, when the programmers were writing these lines of code, they wrote the first one by hand as normal, then they copy and pasted it for the second part, changed the lives to coins, the first 100 to 999, the second 100 to 999, but they forgot to update this variable. The lives variable was in there twice, and they didn't change the second instance of it to be coins. It's a classic copy and paste mistake. And so, that's why when you get more than 999 coins, it updates the number of lives instead. But something interesting happens when you set the number of lives to 999. You see, the value 999 is an integer made up of 4 bytes. So in binary, it looks like this. 4 groups of 8 bits each, where a bit is either 0 or 1. But the number of lives is a single byte, so it only has this many bits. That means it literally can't fit the whole value of 999 into it, because 4 bytes can't fit into 1 byte. So instead, it just takes the last byte and uses that. And that byte happens to be the binary representation of the number negative 25. So yeah, when you get 1,000 coins on the original Japanese version, it doesn't cap the coins at 999. Instead, it tries to give you 999 lives, but due to a mismatch of the variable types, that ends up being negative 25 lives, which is shown as M25, you know, like minus 25. And in fact, the lives are being set to negative 25 every frame because our coin count is still above 999. So yeah, this whole strat to collect 65,000 coins and spawn 2 100 coin stars is only possible thanks to that little bug, that one variable in the code that was copy and pasted wrong. And so since there's no coin cap on this version, we can continue doing iterations to increase our coin count even more. Eventually, we reach 10,000 coins, which makes the coin count 5 digits long. Now here in this video, I'm showing the game in a widescreen view so that it's more enjoyable to watch. But on the original hardware, the game is at standard definition, so the HUD is a lot more compact. So here in the original game's aesthetic, the coin count going into 5 digits actually hides the final digit behind the star icon, so it's hard to read. But anyway, now that we surpassed 10,000, we can continue getting coins to go even further until we approach 32,767 coins. You see, the coin count is stored as assigned short, meaning it can only hold integers between negative 32,768 and positive 32,767. So we make the coin count exceed its maximum value, and then it actually overflows and becomes its most negative value. So watch, we collect the coins and then the coin count becomes negative. And I should clarify, there are actually 2 different variables that keep track of your coins. Up until this point, the 2 variables always had the same value, but now they begin to diverge. First, we have the coin display, which is the value you see on the HUD. From here on, this variable will be stuck at 32,767 since it was never programmed to count downwards. And then second, we have the coin count, which is the true number of coins collected. This variable is negative now, but it'll keep counting up as we collect coins. However, its progress isn't shown on the HUD anywhere, which is why I'm showing it as extra text on the screen. But what causes these 2 variables to desync? Well, here's the code that updates the coin display on the HUD. And right here, you can see that it only executes when the coin count is greater than the coin display. This happens when you collect a coin. When you do that, it causes your coin count to increase so the inequality becomes true, and so then the coin display increases to match that new value. You get it? Collecting a coin increases the coin count, then the game sees that the coin display is less than the coin count, so it increases the coin display until the two numbers are equal. And this system has been working fine for thousands of coins up until now, because now we overflowed the coin count into the negatives. This is the only time when collecting a coin decreases the coin count instead of increasing it. The code didn't anticipate that, so the inequality doesn't hold this time, and in fact it'll never hold again. In other words, at this point, the coin count is not greater than the coin display, and so this code doesn't execute. Specifically, the coin display on the HUD will no longer increase, and collecting coins will no longer make a sound, because the coin sound happens when the HUD increases, not just from collecting a coin. That's why from this point on, all coins are collected silently. Listen. And bonus fact, our number of lives is now no longer being set to -25 every frame. That only happened when we had more than 999 coins, but now we have a negative number of coins, so that doesn't apply anymore. So now we continue collecting coins, going from -32,000 all the way back around to 0 and then the positive numbers. And so after 10 days total, the coin count finally approaches 100 again. You can see we're in the high 90s, so just a few more coins will spawn a 100 coin star. So now we're finally done with the iterations, so I grab the cork box and carry it up the level. But instead of watching the emulated version of the ending, let's watch the console verification so that we can see everyone's live reactions in the chat. Now I should mention, we had a little technical glitch where the frame count stopped updating midway through the run. But fortunately, the timer and inputs did keep running as normal, so the task did complete, just with slightly less information than normal. Consequently, nobody in chat knew the current frame count or how close the task was to finishing. So chatters were trying to guess when the iterations would end, and they got pretty excited when Mario started doing the final movement. So now I have to carry the cork box all the way up the level. And because we're trying to go fast, instead of just walking with the box, I throw the box forwards and then run up to it and re-grab it. I also do a little bit of edge grinding to carry it faster on shorter distances. Now I bring it up this ramp, and you can see that chat is very excited. They have been waiting 10 days for this, so hopefully nothing else goes wrong. And then here comes the slope. Not so tricky these days, since we can just grind on the edge to carry the box all the way up. Once we're at the top, we can throw the box to break it, collect the coins, and then spawn the second 100 coin star. So we use this 100 coin star to get onto the bullet bill block, and then use the 100 coin star from 10 days ago to get onto the tower platform. Here it comes, get ready. So we dive grind on the edge, do a rollout, collect a star, and star dance clip onto the tower. And from there, I can climb up the tower and get the star. So we did it. The long theorized 10-day strat has been achieved. It took 65,000 coins to make two 100 coin stars, but now finally, the longest strat in the A button challenge has been done. It's not just theoretical anymore, it's part of history. And now it counts up all of our coins. Note that it gives us a life at 50 coins, 100 coins, and 150 coins, but no other amount. So it's not every multiple of 50, just those three hard-coded ones. Now I should note, we ended that star with a coin count of 100, but this counter counts up to our coin display, which was at 32,767. And at 1 coin a frame, it's actually going to take 18 minutes to count all the way up there. But unfortunately, we don't actually get to see the counter count up that high, because you see, after it reaches 1,000, it just displays the number 0. That's not a bug, it's actually a failsafe in the code. See, they only intended for this counter to have 3 digits. So if the number is 4 digits or more, it just defaults to printing 0 to avoid any issues. So yeah, it's not as glamorous as you might have hoped, since we just see the number 0 and not a counter going up to 32,000. But of course, that's why I'm showing extra text on the screen, so you watching this YouTube video can see the real amount. But everyone who watched this live on Twitch just had to stare at the number 0 for 18 minutes. So let's fast forward, and now we're finally near the end. So it's not a soft lock, it does in fact end when the counter reaches 32,767. And then everybody celebrated in the chat. I mean, we already got the star 18 minutes ago, but people wanted to see the counter finish counting up. They were afraid we'd be stuck there forever in a softlock, but nope, it does end eventually, so there's no problem there. Also, big thanks to Ark Holmes for console verifying this 10-day test to make sure it actually works. And so, now we have 4 different ways of getting onto the tower in 0 A presses. But, you know what would be even cooler than 4 ways to do it? 5 ways to do it. That's right, after all these years I thought of one more way to get onto the tower. You see, in my previous video, I mentioned that I tried throwing a box into myself from on top of the bullet bill block, but I couldn't manage to reach the tower. Well, I looked into it more and it turned out to be possible, just barely. But how would we pull this off for real? Like, how would we even get a box onto the bullet bill block? Well, I found that we can dive into the box and bonk on the bullet bill block, and that causes the box to end up on top of it. However, one problem is that the recoil from the bonk puts Mario so far away from the bullet bill block that it becomes intangible, causing the box to fall down through it. But don't worry, we can actually just use the other box in the level to prevent Mario from moving too far away, keeping the block tangible the whole time. So with all that figured out, here's what I did. So we start off with the same beginning as before. We collect 99 coins all throughout the course, then we grab a box and bring it up the level. Now I don't bring it all the way up though, because then it'd be too far away from the other box. See, we have to constantly switch between the 2 boxes so that we don't leave one of them alone for too long and then it disappears. Instead, I have to continually juggle between the 2 boxes. So yeah, this whole part is on a timer, which is why I'm trying to go fast. But there are some sections where I just have to walk with the box because there's not enough room to throw it. Now here I am able to throw it because there's a long straight distance. But instead of instantly re-grabbing the box, I instead run over to the other box and grab it for a second to refresh its timer because it was about to disappear. Then I go back to the box I threw and carry it up the ramp. And I use throws to carry it much more quickly. So now we have both boxes at this section, but remember, we want them both up top near the bullet bill block, so I continue bringing them forward. So I edge grind on the slope to carry this box to the top, and then I edge grind even more to carry it over to the bullet bill block. I put it down, and then I go back to the other box where I grab it just before it disappears. So now we just have to bring this box up, and then we'll be all set. So I carry it up the slope, you know, the slope that used to be tricky, but now it's easy, you know the one. Then I edge grind over to the bullet bill block, and now we have both boxes in place. Now I dive into one box to put it on top of the bullet bill block, using the other box to hold me in place during the bonk. Then I break the box that's still down here, collect a coin, spawn the 100 coin star, and Stardance clip onto the bullet bill block. Now earlier during my testing, I had used the hat in hand glitch to remotely throw the box into myself. But that was just for testing. In practice, we wouldn't be able to get up here with the box if we had the hat in hand glitch active. So instead, I use a glitch called Behind Camera Anywhere, and that lets me throw the box into myself. You see, in Behind Camera Anywhere, we lock the camera in place and then put the focus on the other side of Lakitu so that he faces away from Mario. And since Mario's now outside of the camera view, he doesn't get rendered, and so the Whomp doesn't update. That allows us to put the Whomp behind Mario, and then we throw the box into ourselves to propel us forward onto the tower. So yeah, after all these years, we found one more method to get onto the tower. I mean, we probably would have found it sooner if I had tested that box throw more thoroughly, but you know, we found it in the end, so it doesn't matter. And now all that's left is to climb up the tower and get the star. And that's how you do it. So there you go, that's 5 different ways of getting onto the Whomp's Fortress Tower in 0 A presses. This tower caused so much trouble back in the day. It was the bane of my existence in the A button challenge, my white whale. There was just no way to get onto it without pressing A. But over the years, our skills, knowledge, and tools have drastically improved, and so now we have 5 ways to get onto it. First, we can throw the cork box remotely into ourselves from the elevator. Second, we can go onto the bullet bill block and then roll out into a misalignment. Third, we can do platform release displacement on the falling blocks to teleport Mario. Fourth, we can collect 65,000 coins over 10 days to spawn 2 100 coin stars. And fifth, we can use Behind Camera Anywhere to throw a box into ourselves from the bullet bill block. That's 5 ways of getting onto the tower. 5 ways of doing what we once thought was impossible, and yet here we are. And so I don't think this tower has just been conquered, I think it's been demolished. Thanks for watching. And now for this video's member event. In case you don't know, at the end of all my regular videos, all the members of my channel participate in a member event. And this time we're back in the arena. Now usually I send you guys here in your enemy form, but today we're all marbles, so what gives? Well, you guys can still knock into each other and push each other off, but that's not the main objective. Instead, today's objective is about who can survive the longest without dying. Because above all you guys, I've placed hundreds of cork boxes. In a moment, these boxes will begin to fall down and explode on the stage, each spawning 3 coins. Now if your marble touches a box or any of the coins, you instantly die. I mean, in the video, you guys watched me break 20,000 boxes and collect 65,000 coins. So it's only fair that I return the favor and make you guys go through it too. And so if everybody's ready, let's begin! Okay, the marbles are now free to move around. And here come the boxes, watch out! They just fall in random spots and spawn coins going in random directions. So you never really know when you're safe or not. So far, we've lost PJ Sands, Biggs22, Sakagura Synth, Mr. Sir, Cubic, Luis Cabral, Affix, JR, Chromosomnio, Nanana Nitro, Muffin, The Flying Fire, Volk, Hot Joe, Zeshi, and Lil Gamers. Man, look at all the marbles in this corner. There's just not enough room for everyone, so they keep pushing each other off. Oh man, look at the terrain. There are coins all over going every direction. I would not want to have to survive on here without getting hit. That seems like a nightmare, but you know, you guys are fine doing it. Now we've lost NXT, Tafiko, Nico Donov, Toshigun 1337, Eric Vilas, HK Jacket, Laura, Mia, Bup Willow, Lugmalord, Hugbees, Kidley Stoop, Morphstar Changeling, Squarg, Conair, The Bros, and as you can see right in front of us, Izzy. Looks like Swed2 is trying to hide in the corner, but even that isn't completely safe from coins. Now the marbles are starting to bunch up into groups, like this one on the edge right in front of us. But wait, are the marbles in the same group friends or enemies? I can't tell. Well, they are pushing off some of their own members, so it can't be that friendly. Now most of the marbles are staying in the corners or on the edges, but this one marble is in the middle all alone. An echo of things to come. It's a bold move to stay in the center. I mean, that's where all the coins are. Look, now Echo is surrounded, but they got out of it. And now Lavro Planinsec is coming over, and they blocked Echo, causing Echo to get hit. Man, you guys are merciless here. Okay, now let's zoom out to see the full stage. We have 20 people left, mainly staying in the corners. And to clarify, I didn't tell them to prefer the corners, they just figured out that on their own. And by this point, we've also lost Asucho, Phanton, and Liam Bunnabun. And I should mention, the rate at which the boxes are falling is only going to get faster and faster. So if you thought there were a lot of coins before, just you wait, it's going to get very hectic. Look at this guy, John Jordan. A coin just flew over his head, but he survived. And now he's surrounded, but oh, it's okay, he got out of it. And now we're down to the last 5 people. So give it up for our finalists, John Jordan, Ueda Yuji Fan, Fina Doggy, Kareem, and Relaxmas. The winner will be one of these 5 people, we just don't know who yet. I mean, logically, they can't survive too much longer, right? Like there's coins going every which way. Quick, look at the top right corner, there's 2 people there, and Ueda just fell off. So now we're down to the final 4, who each have their own corner. But if you look on the bottom left, Relaxmas just failed to jump over a coin and got hit. So now we're down to the final 3, Kareem, John Jordan, and Fina Doggy. Place your bets, cause anything could happen, it's just a matter of who can survive the longest. But take a look at the far 2 people, they both just got hit. And that means it's over, there's only 1 player remaining on the platform, Kareem. So, congrats to Kareem, our first place finisher, and everyone else will be ranked by how long they lasted before dying. So yeah, that's what a member event is like. So if you want to get in on the next one and support me, consider becoming a member of my channel, or you can just press the subscribe button for free. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. I found it so cool how we could just keep collecting coins with no limit and it slowly breaks different parts of the game. And it took 10 days to do it. Where else are you gonna have a 10-day strat in a video game other than in good old SM64? Now it is interesting to compare this task to the one from the one button challenge that also required brute forcing to make. The 1-button challenge task took 3 months to make, and it ended up being 8 hours long, whereas the Whomp's Fortress Tower task took 1 day to make, and it ended up being 10 days long. So they're impressive in different ways. But don't get me wrong, this Whomp's Fortress Tower task took like 1/100th of the effort that the 1-button challenge task did. Making that 1-button challenge task was absolute hell. But you know what they say, sometimes you have to go through hell to get to heaven. And that's where I am now. I'm living the life of my dreams thanks to you guys and your support. I just get to spend all my time focusing on Super Mario 64. Cause back in the day, I had to juggle SM64 with other responsibilities like school, college, work. It was such a struggle to switch between them every day. Like focusing on work during the day and then SM64 in the evening. Trying to context switch back and forth like that each day was such a burden on my mind. I remember in college, when I first started the A-button challenge, I couldn't stop thinking about it. It was so fun and interesting compared to college work. I got addicted to it. I even have this one memory of being in economics class, but I was thinking about the Whomp's Fortress Tower. I was daydreaming about how to solve it, like contemplating possibilities with the cork box and the bullet bill block. Then after class ended, I hurried back to my dorm room to test my ideas. But the distances in the game were bigger than I had imagined in my head, so nothing worked out. So that is to say, this Whomp's Fortress Tower star has been on my mind for quite a while. But back then, SM64 was competing with my other life obligations, which made it difficult to concentrate on it. And then came the Watch for Rolling Rocks video. For that one, I went all out and focused too much on SM64. I let it consume my mind as I put all of my being into that video. And that took a lot out of me, like too much out of me. That's why after Watch for Rolling Rocks, I made the decision that that level of effort in SM64 wasn't compatible with my other life obligations. I just didn't have enough mental bandwidth to handle school and making commentated videos the way I wanted to. You know, like going all out and putting 100% of my energy into each video. So instead, back then I locked away that SM64 part of me. But now things are different. There is no school, college, or work anymore. It's 100% SM64 100% of the time. I'm finally doing what I was always meant to do, even though I suppressed it for years. Now I can go through all the topics in this game and dissect them and document everything, leaving no stone unturned. Like in this video. Now I have all the time and energy in the world to focus on these projects, allowing me to get closure on theoretical strats that before I could only imagine. And it's all thanks to you guys. With your support, we can topple even the biggest of obstacles in this game. See you next time.